obviously this has been a long time in the making. Been quite a long time since we played an actual football game against an opponent, and with the unprecedented times that we're in, the pandemic, social justice, all the things that have gone on, it's a my head goes off to first responders, people that are taking care of us, our doctors, our nurses, everybody that has anything to do with getting this operation, this organization in a position to compete on this Saturday. So we're excited about it. It's, as we know, one of the South's oldest rivalries, and I've been on both sides of this, for quite a long time now, and it's an opportunity for our players to play their first game, to hopefully get back into some sense of normalcy and be able to compete against other really good teams in the CAA. So we're looking forward to it. What we've had to learn, obviously, not just us, but just everyone, is that the ability to adapt, to adjust, to create the normalcy that what we knew is no longer, no longer the way it is. You create the normalcy in terms of the ability to change things at an hour's notice, at a moment's notice. Your practice schedules, who's going to be in your depth chart, that changes. And so the adaptation to getting prepared not only goes to the practices, but also it lended itself to training, how you train, where you train, because obviously the facilities and things here were closed. So a lot of the guys had to work out on their own. You had to deal with the mental health wellness aspect because they're away from you. Normally they'd be with you, and they're dealing with their own environment that they're living in. So there are a lot of challenges. Again, we're probably no different than anybody else that's getting ready for a season, but you have to adjust to the way that's going to allow your players to have a chance to prepare themselves physically, mentally, emotionally, all those things. And so, we had our share of challenges. We continue to have challenges that we have to make sure that we mitigate some issues, but wearing masks, socialization, washing your hands, contact tracing, all those things are very much the new normal now, and try to come up with some substantive practices with your depth charts and what if this happens scenarios has been part of the overall game planning and getting ready for opponents. These guys have trained to do this for quite some time. So they, from Little League football on, they have an opportunity to watch the FBS play. I think all FBS teams except for two played. So they saw, the opportunities. They also saw the challenges. We read the stories. The NFL was going on at the same time. So, they made yourself cognizant of the things that we're responsible for, made yourself very aware of the people that we impact if we don't take the standards, the medical standards and the procedures, if we don't take them seriously. And so it's been with guarded optimism, but a lot of it has been positive. A lot of it has been, we talked about the phrase, so what, now what? Things happen, contact tracing, testing, things that have to change the practice schedules. The doctors have to do a follow-up visit for somebody to check their cardiovascular health. All those things have occurred, but the resiliency of the players has still been very much at a high point. And hopefully the culmination of that will be come game time on Saturday. When you look at last year's team and who's gone, a lot of our sophomores played, Hollis Mathis, Donovan Lester, Bronson Yoder. A lot of those guys, a lot of our freshmen played who are sophomores now. So they become a bulk of the team of the guys who had demonstrated performance on the field. Now they're in the position of their second year of playing college football to be significant contributors. Now, for us, our offensive line is probably the oldest group in terms of seniors and grad students. And I think that's probably going to be one of our strengths. Ryan Ripley, who's played in college football games. Andrew Trainer, is a grad student. Marcus Crowell, Colby Sorsdale, all those guys played last year. So there's strength in the numbers from the guys that have played significant reps for us, and they just happen to be up front. it's great that Hollis Mathis, a quarterback that's athletic, he can throw, he can run, that you have an experienced offensive line, in front of him. Our wide receiver group, core, is a solid group. We brought the tight end back in our offense, and so we have a dedicated group of young men that can play that position. So I feel good offensively about where we are. Obviously, the strength being the guys up front. On the other side, I can say the same thing about our defensive line with a guy like Will Kiley, Cole Fowler, Nate Lind, who was a true freshman last year. That's a sophomore that played in a lot of games. Termite, our nose tackle, Bissett, is a guy that's done a good job for us, played a lot of games. So the strength of our program is probably going to be the guys that are up front, that have been around the program, guys that have had chances to lift and gain. We're still challenged about getting bigger, faster, stronger, but everyone else has been that way as well. But those guys, I would say, the lines are particularly where we're stronger at. And then we have some of the dedicated guys that played the backup roles. They're playing, and we'll be excited about seeing how we stack up, because we've been practicing against each other for a long time, and you only get a true indication of where you are, what you lack, where you need to go when you play other opponents. And that's this opportunity with Richmond this Saturday. Willie Mae London and Paul London, my mother and my brother, it's their birthday today. So March 2nd is the significance of that day. So happy birthday, Mom and brother. You could be doing a number of things. We could be in spring practice, spring ball right now. Having practice. You could be in your training sessions leading up to your spring practice. So it's different. When you're getting ready for a game and play it. That March 2nd is a date that normally would be a regular day preparing for something that's to come. And now we find ourselves, this is the Tuesday of game week of a contest that counts this Saturday. I would say that when you're a competitor and you have a chance to compete against another team, not against yourself, that it's a competitive opportunity to play against somebody else that's also trained and studied, had a scouting report, that has some commonality in terms of not only the rivalry, but the games that have been over the years that have been played. So, to our guys, we understand that there is a fall season that's to come, but right now we got to be planted where our feet are, and our feet are firmly planted in the fact that we have a game against Richmond this Saturday. So that's the most important to them, and they look at it as a college football game and a chance to play an opponent that has a natural, historic rivalry to it. The process and the procedures and the protocols that lead up into playing this game are still ongoing. There's still active testing going on. Our guys are still going to class. This particular week is a big academic week with tests and exams. So you have to take care of the plan to get ready, but you also know that the element of the frequent testing, the expectations of conduct leading up into even the day before we leave are going to be critically important about what we do. So I guess the angst and anxiety for me is that making sure that when I see my trainer and he's walking towards me, that if there's a smile on his face, I'm good. But if there's a frown on his face, I'm turning around and I'm running from him, because I'm like, I don't want to hear what you got to say. No, but that's the reality of it, is being in constant contact and communication with our medical staff, because it's all driven by negative, positive tests. And again, thus far, knock on wood, it's been negative, in terms of the test. So, but that's ongoing. You can't, the people that you're around, the things that you do are very much under a microscope on how we go about doing it. Because this thing, it's out there, and you can, the best intentions still, have positive tests that occur. But right now, like I said, our guys have been really vigilant. They've been really dedicated to managing their circumstances to where on Tuesday right now that we are all clear to practice and everybody's ready to go. One of the things that he wanted to get better at was the ability to go through a progression that a quarterback of his athletic ability and his stature, sometimes you get antsy and you pull the ball and you go and you run. What he's worked on is the second, the third read, and then the things that you can do, the ball out in the flat, the check downs, those things are important too, that allow you to move the ball. So he's become a better student of the game in seeing the whole picture. And that's the maturation of a quarterback. You come in with a particular skill set, and then you fine tune that skill set into the other things that will allow you to be more creative, more efficient, and more productive. And he's done that in so many different ways with Coach Christian. Matt Johns, our quarterback coach. Matt played quarterback, himself. So there's that dialogue and there's commonality in the things that he's learned and what he's learning to be. And so he's going to have to be one of our, he is one of our best players on this football team. And, we're going to ride his coattails, along, as I said, with the offensive line and others that are involved in this offense. Even in the NFL, that your quarterback, your left tackle, your best pass rusher, your cover corner, and dynamic receiver, you build teams around that. And he's one of those guys. He's our, one of our best players. So there's no secret about that. Now, protecting him, that's going to be very, very important. And him doing the right things. It's okay to take, to take the slide, instead of undue hits and things like that. So we'll see how the game evolves. But there's and that's another thing as becoming an older player or more experienced player, is knowing the difference. If it's short yardage, you're scrambling and it's a first down and you're scrambling the marker, you could lower your shoulder to get another first down, get out of bounds and make it 2nd and 1, to avoid, some of that, the physical contact, just being smart about those circumstances, or slide, so he's done a really good job of that. And that's what we're looking for him to do, to continue drives and to make sure that he stays healthy and competitive in games. The goals are to be competitive and win football games. We're not going out there just to practice playing games. We're going out there to be competitive, play, and win. And you're right. You look at our ledger, our side of the conference, and we got really good football teams, and that's part of it. When you're a competitive athlete or coach, there are some, the ability to play your freshmen more, who normally would, like we just talked about, with this being traditionally a spring practice kind of model, but now they're games. So you have a chance to play some of your younger players, knowing that there is a season to follow. The new rule about being able to bring your seniors back, your 5th year, 6th year seniors back. So all those things kind of play into the decisions of who you play. But I can tell you that our guys want to be competitive, compete, and play to win.